ESPN on ABC, home of the 2010 Rose Bowl game and the City BCS National Championship game.
Nearly 110,000 college football fans have gathered here in State College, Pennsylvania, an area Jeanette, PA native Terrell Pryor described as two country when he opted to play college football at Ohio State instead of at his home state university. Today he returns to Pennsylvania to take on the Penn State Nittany Lions, led by quarterback Terrell Pryor, a native of, as you guessed it, Ohio. It's the biggest game of the season to date in the Big Ten. Ohio State and Penn State from very Happy Valley. Today, the 300th game all-time at Beaver Stadium, and few of the 299 that have preceded this one have been as important. It's Ohio State and Penn State, a battle of two of the top 16 teams in the country. And as we said, it's very Happy Valley right now. The fans know the score from earlier today. Iowa losing at home to Northwestern, meaning there are now three teams tied atop the Big Ten standings with one loss apiece. Iowa, Penn State, and Ohio State. If the Buckeyes win out, they'll be the Big Ten champ and win the outright BCS Conference Bowl berth, because they will have defeated Iowa. They host Iowa next week. Penn State now very much alive in the race for the Big Ten title. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Sean McDonough along with Matt Millen. Delighted to have you with us. We'll be joined by Holly Rowe in just a moment. A lot of great stories here, and some of them are still developing. But the big story during the week, Matt, in addition to the importance of the game, the return of Terrell Pryor. He opted out of Pennsylvania to go to Ohio State. Highly recruited, highly touted, and yet to some people, despite the 15-3 record as a starter for the Buckeyes, considered a disappointment so far through a year and a half.
Yeah, but you know, the thing with Terrell Pryor is he can't do it all by himself, and he's certainly a talented player, and he's certainly developing his game. But in order to win this game today, it's going to take more than just Terrell Pryor. Certainly he can beat you with his feet, and can get down the field and throw the ball, but down the field is where they have to go. And DeVere Posey is a receiver on the outside that has to contribute today. And also Boom Herron comes back after having an ankle. They need to have a running game.
He does bring along with him to Pennsylvania one of the best defenses in the country, and that has been the key to the season so far for Penn State as well. Number one in the Big Ten in just about every defensive category.
Yeah, that's a great point. See, the thing with Penn State, the recipe for success never changes. It always starts with Paterno on the defensive side of the ball, and Jared Odrick is the guy who spearheads that defense, and also Sean Lee returns. But let's not forget what they're doing on the offensive side of the ball. Darrell Clark, from that Iowa game, has had a phenomenal time. And what he's been able to do with that offensive line retooled is be in complete control of the game. He's been throwing the ball effectively. They've been running the ball very, very well. It looks like this one's going to be a humdinger. I'll tell you, if you love college football, stay right here. You're going to love this one.
And Darrell Clark, 19-3 as the starting quarterback at Penn State, but some say he's still looking for a signature win. Chance for that today, Ohio State and Penn State. The kickoff in a moment.
You're watching College Football, presented by Kay Jewelers. ESPN's College Football on ABC. Brought to you by Nissan Maxima, proud partner of the Heisman Trophy.
Welcome back to State College on a perfect early November afternoon. As you can see, not a cloud in the sky. It's 54 degrees. Welcome good weather for Holly Rowe.
Situation down here on the field, though, in the pregame for Penn State. Their steady running back, Evan Royster, had an unexpected knee injury in pregame warmups. I spoke to him moments ago, and he said his knee buckled. He said, I feel okay. They took him back and examined him, but they have not taped it up. In his place would be Brandon Beecham, number 3. But good news, for the first time in 2 games, they'll get Stephon Green back, who they call their home run threat. They will try to see how Evan Royster can respond here early.
Royster's rushed for 100 yards or more in 3 of the last 4 games. Penn State won the toss and deferred, so Colin Wagner kicks off. And it'll come down to Lamar Thomas at the goal line. And he's piled up at the 25. Andrew Daly leading the special teams coverage unit for the Nittany Lions. These fans are here in full force, in large part to heckle Terrell Pryor, sophomore from Jeanette, Pennsylvania, about 120 miles away from Beaver Stadium. For the year, 13 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. The turnovers were particularly a problem in the surprising loss to Purdue, when he turned it over 4 times. 2 interceptions and 2 lost fumbles. Brandon Sane opens at running back, and he's ahead for 2 against the stingiest defense in the country. That Penn State defensive unit giving up just 9.3 points per game, best in the nation.
Yeah, you can see right there, 45, Sean Lee back, Jared Odrick there, also number 91. But for the Ohio State Buckeyes, for them to have success today, certainly a lot will be on Terrell Pryor, but the bigger part is going to be on that offensive line, Sean. They have got to have probably their best game if they're going to win this game.
All those numbers you saw for the Penn State defense lead the Big Ten. Pryor's throw way too high over the head of DeVere Posey.
You know, a lot's been said all week long about Terrell Pryor, and really all season long. And they're saying, you know, he's not met expectations. He's struggling a little bit. Some have said he's gone backwards. You'll take all that stuff and throw it out. This is a guy that's an immensely talented player, but he needs help. He's not there yet. He's not where he's going to be.
It's been an offensive line in transition. They've had injuries at running back and an inexperienced wide receiver core. Pryor, a great threat to run, instead throws, and he could have used some help from Duron Carter, but the freshman wide receiver dropped it, and it's a quick 3 and out for Ohio State.
That's a perfect example of what's happened at Ohio State this year. Certainly, Terrell Pryor bought a little time, got out of the pocket, and created the ability to be able to have the completion. Carter's just got to finish that play. That's a first down if he catches the ball.
John Toma on the punt, senior, former walk-on, first year as the starting punter, averaging 37.5 per punt. Graham Zug lets it bounce, and it goes out of bounds near the 17-yard line. So a good kick by Toma. They're actually going to mark it at the 16. And Darrell Clark and the Nittany Lions will begin deep in their own territory after the 55-yard punt. Clark leading the Big Ten in touchdown passes with 18. That's 6th in the country. 7 interceptions, but only 1 over the last 5 games. Over the last 5 games, he's played about as well as any quarterback in the country. 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. Not surprisingly, they've won all 5 since their only loss against Iowa. He's sacked on the first play. Back at the 9-yard line by Cameron Hayward.
Yeah, Sean, we start talking about the Penn State offense. They've had the same kind of problems also, especially in the offensive line. And in the Iowa game, the offensive line really got beat up. And this right here, as you see Cameron Hayward just crushing the right side of that line, is what happened in that Iowa game. For the Penn State offense, Darrell Clark is one of those guys who gets a little emotional, and he needs to come out and start fast.
Clark had a rough time against Iowa, threw 3 interceptions. What he described as by far the worst performance of his career. His long throw is incomplete. Looking for Davon Smith, the speedy true freshman. But a lot of the same problems for Darrell Clark as we just described for Terrell Pryor. They started the year with an inexperienced offensive line, with an all-new wide receiver group. I think the big difference for Clark is he did have the veteran Royster coming back at running back, and his offensive line has gotten better much more quickly than Ohio State's has.
Particularly on the right side. That Akko Pody has solidified the offensive line, and the receiving core has grown. They've gotten better as the season's gone on.
Particularly Derek Moy. You saw Evan Royster is on the field. Second leading rusher in the Big Ten. Clark sets up a screen to Royster. And he stopped immediately. This Ohio State defense giving up only 260 yards per game. That's second in the Big Ten, right behind Penn State, and that's number 6 in the country. Thaddeus Gibson snuffed out that screen. So we're looking at 2 of the very best defensive teams in the nation here today.
And the strength of those defenses are their defensive lines. And if those first 3 players are any indicator for the Ohio State University, that defensive line is going to control this game.
Jeremy Boone's had 2 blocked this year. That's a concern for Joe Paterno. His short punt fielded on the run by Ray Small. Room down the sideline, and he's inside the 10 and down at the 8-yard line. Navarro Bowman, the starting linebacker, out there covering the punt, saved the touchdown. Neither team's been terrific in special teams this year. As a matter of fact, before that return by Small, Ohio State was 93rd in the country in punt returns.
Well, this was not a good punt. It was a low punt, very returnable, and then he was able to get to that left side. Small just does a good job of running with his eyes.
41-yard return of a 35-yard punt. The longest punt return of the season for the Buckeyes. The previous long was 20. Sane, the running back, right up the middle. And down at the 6-yard line.
One of the things that with this Penn State team, Sean, that you and I looked at and talked about all week long was their special teams. They've been a problem for them, whether it be in the punt game or there in the punt return game. They've not performed well in their special teams, and Coach Paterno has been harping on that for a long time.
Chance for the early lead for Ohio State. Pryor forced to pull it down. Now shows his running skill. Touchdown, Ohio State.
And not only did he show the great running skill, but he showed great strength. And he shook off a tackle on about the 8-yard line. I believe it was Navarro Bowman, who's an outstanding player, and just shrugged that thing and then was able to get up and make the ground and score.
There's Devin Barclay, just his second game kicking. And Petrie, their outstanding senior kicker, injured a knee last week against New Mexico State. Well, Barclay has taken over, and he's a perfect 4 for 4 in extra points. 3 for 3 against the Aggies last week. So a great start for Pennsylvania native Terrell Pryor, quieting a lot of those who came to hoot on him.
College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
Terrell Pryor with the 7th rushing touchdown of the season, and Ohio State off to a quick 7-0 lead against Navarro Bowman and the Penn State Nittany Lions. And Devin Barclay will kick off. He's 26 years old, a former professional soccer player. Signed to play professional soccer while he was in high school at age 17. Finished his career 3 years ago with the Columbus Crew. And learned how to kick a football. And here he is at Beaver Stadium. His kickoff brought back by Chaz Powell to the 25-yard line. And that's where the Nittany Lions will begin.
I want you to watch Navarro Bowman right here at number 11. They're going to come in a blitz. Astorino will come, and Zach Bourne is going to be responsible right here. And that's the block. Now, Bowman does a great job in evading the block. And now here's the key. Finish the play right there. There's the strength of Pryor, and then he looks smooth, but he can gain ground really fast. He's very deceptive because he's a long strider. But boy, can he go.
Pryor's 6'6", 235 pounds. Darrell Clark under center. And Evan Royster bounces ahead to the 30-yard line. Let's send it back to New York. Here's Matt Weiner.
Thank you, guys. I'll be with you all afternoon long to keep you on top of the biggest stories of the day, starting with this Taco Bell update. Iowa's been playing with fire all season long, and today they were finally burned by Northwestern. Ricky Stanzi goes down in the end zone, recovered by Marshall Thomas. Stanzi left the game, and the Wildcats pull the upset.
And that certainly has changed the complexion of the Big Ten race. And it has brought Penn State back to life. Todd Denlinger takes down Evan Royster, and it'll be third down at about 6. When the day began, Penn State, if they were going to win the Big Ten title and the automatic bid to a BCS bowl game, had to win out, and they needed Iowa to lose twice, and that didn't look particularly likely. But Iowa has lost once, and Iowa has to go to Ohio State next week, perhaps without Ricky Stanzi.
And the guy we just looked at there, Joe Paterno, he would say, forget about all that stuff. You have a team in front of you have to beat, as would Coach Tressel.
Clark, a design run, and the Buckeyes are not fooled. It's tough to bring him down. You can see Darrell Clark powered ahead. Pryor's not the only big quarterback on this field. Darrell's listed at 6'2". That might be generous, but he is every bit of the 232 pounds at which he is listed.
Yeah, he's a big man, but it's not going to make a difference, because I'll tell you right now, Cameron Hayward has come to play. Cameron Hayward is throwing guys around in there like rag dolls. He is taking his thing, and he's making it personal, and it's fun to watch. They have not blocked him in 2 series.
Junior from Sewanee, Georgia, the son of the late Ironhead Hayward, NFL running back. Ray Small back for this punt. Much better effort this time by Jeremy Boone, and the fair catch made. Will be spotted at the 21-yard line. 46-yard punt. Buckeyes back on offense, leading 7-0 right after this.
ESPN's college football on ABC, presented by Kay Jewelers, the #1 jewelry store in America. Chevy and our award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers. And Dr. Pepper. Drink it slow. Doctor's orders.
Last night at the Bryce Jordan Center next door, Joe Paterno leading the pep rally, the rally in the valley. Getting the crowd fired up for today's matchup with Ohio State. They've been quieted by the quick strike of the Buckeyes, and here they come again. Boom Herron turns the corner. He's been bothered a lot of the year by a sprained ankle. Probably their best back when he's healthy, and that one was good for a 12-yard gain, the first down.
Yeah, and they came with a blitz from the left side, and they ran away from it. And there's Navarro Bowman coming over the top and just using his speed to get him. But they need Boom Herron to play well. They have not had or been able to establish a run game, and this guy can do it.
Been running back by committee with Brandon Sane, Boom Herron, and in recent weeks Jordan Hall, a true freshman's been emerging. That's a lateral to DeVere Posey, and he's banged out of bounds near the 40. That might be to set up a play later on. Posey threw a touchdown pass last week against New Mexico State. Showed pretty good form as a left-handed thrower.
Yeah, he can throw the ball, but he can scoot. That's what they need him for. They need DeVere Posey to be able to get down the field. He's the guy who possesses the big speed. We talked about him at the start of the telecast. Boom Herron and Posey, they both have to be factors in the game today.
Posey's their leading receiver. And there's another apparent lateral to Posey. And he's out of bounds with another first down. 48-yard line to Penn State, 12 yards on that gain.
Those are just pitch and catch, Sean. But the keys to those plays are Zanzenbacher. Zanzenbacher's getting a great job. Watch him right here. He makes the whole play. That's a simple throw. But Zanzenbacher, look how he kicks his hips and is able to allow him to get down the right sideline and pick up 2 quick first downs. Well done by him.
Dane's a junior from Toledo. Herron to the 44-yard line. He got nearly 4. Sean Lee, the tackle. Here's Holly Rowe.
Well, guys, so much build-up about Terrell Pryor playing back in his home state, so I've really been watching him closely on the sideline, and he's not barking and woofing. In fact, after that touchdown he just scored, the first thing he did was to run over, not celebrate, but talk to his redshirt redshirt freshman tight end Stoneburner and make a correction. He's quiet, he's collected, and he's focused. He's not woofing or barking.
That's exactly what he needed to do, Holly. Be under control. Don't get emotional.
And Herron with some nice running room on the right and some good moves on his own as well to get down to the 28-yard line. This Ohio State offense getting it in big chunks right now. 16 more for Herron. Josh Hall the tackle.
And it all starts up front. But this is a good job. It's Bourne right there. 44. That's a fantastic block. They're doing a good job. Shoe guards kicked out the right side. Got into that second level. If you listen to Kirk Herbstreit in our pregame show, he nailed it. He said Ohio State's offensive line has got to play well. And he's 100% right. And they are doing that right now.
A lot of veteran Buckeye observers have said this is one of the weakest offensive lines they can remember in recent years. Like Pryor, they're a little tired of hearing the criticism as well. Well, Jim Tressel, after Herron carried for a couple, said, I'm not really sure how much Terrell and our players hear the criticism. They're not really on the blogs. They don't listen to sports talk radio. So when you ask Terrell Pryor about criticism, as we did the other day, he said, to be honest, I'm not really aware that I'm that heavily criticized. I don't pay much attention to what I do know.
And that's the right attitude to take. Now, whether or not that's true remains to be seen, but that's the right attitude to have.
Second down and 8. Buckeyes leading 7-0. Pryor zings one, incomplete. Looking for DeVere Posey, was busted up by A.J. Wallace, the senior cornerback out of Waldorf, Maryland.
That's very well played by A.J. Wallace, the corner. He gets the time to throw here, and he can step and throw. That's well done. Now watch, on the top side, Wallace just drives the ball. He has the cushion, read the route, holding inside position, and then he takes it away. It's good football all the way around.
Ohio State is 66 yards rushing, 0 yards passing. Pryor's 0 for 3 now. Third down and 8. Design run. Might have been a forward pitch. And Herron is throttled by Danton Lynn up from his cornerback spot to drop that play for a loss back to the 29.
Sean, that's what Penn State was talking about all week long, about maintaining the discipline of scheme. And when you start having the option type game, you have to have discipline because it becomes assignment football. Somebody takes the mesh, somebody takes the quarterback, somebody takes the pitch. And when you're in space, and this is the key, you have got to tackle. In order to play that kind of defense, you have to be an excellent tackling team.
Tom Bradley, longtime defensive coordinator, wondering what Ohio State's going to do. They have the punter on the field right now, John Toma, but the play clock runs out. And perhaps the first example, if we get the call for delay of game, the first example of the difference for Ohio State and Jim Tressel Day without Petrie, their starting kicker, because ordinarily this would have been a yardage. They would have tried a field goal with Petrie, and they're deciding not to with Barkley.
Yeah, and so Toma comes in to punt it, and I would have declined that penalty. I don't want to give him a longer field. I want to give him a shorter field. So this doesn't happen. Looks like it's...
Toma did not get the coffin corner, just missed it. It'll come out to the 20. That's interesting. It only would have been a 47-yard field goal. Barkley has a pretty strong leg, but Jim Tressel didn't want to take the chance with the new kicker. And it's still just 7-0 Buckeyes.
You're watching college football presented by Kay Jewelers.
300th game in stadium history. Beaver Stadium erected in 1960. And the Penn State fans trying to get this offense fired up through 2 possessions, just 5 yards for Penn State, no first downs. Darrell Clark under center, and he's in trouble right away. They blew up the play with the great pressure. Austin Spittler, the linebacker, came on a blitz, and Clark had to get rid of it before he even turned around.
Yeah, they come with an over front, and they bring Spittler off the bottom. They go over this way. Spittler's going to come this way. And it's a quick throw, but he's untouched. Mickey Schuler looks like he's coming back underneath. That's to slow down Spittler, and he doesn't. And then the ball's supposed to come out quick.
Spittler, senior team captain, waited a long time to play behind his good pal James Laurinaitis. He's now in the NFL. Clark, a with an empty backfield. Zings one, too hot to handle for Andrew Corliss, the tight end. Senior from Uniondale, New York, who was praised when we visited with Galen Hall, the offensive coordinator, yesterday for his fine play of late.
Yeah, and in order for him to continue to play well, they better block Cameron Hayward. He is kicking their rear ends collectively. This time it's Akko Poti. He just takes an inside move. Now he is lined up over the right guard, the right offensive tackle, and the left offensive tackle. And he has kicked mucho butt up and down the line. You gotta love this. This kid came to play.
3rd down and 10. Clark's 1 for 4 passing. Given time this time, dumps it off short, and short of a first down. Corliss took a big hit. Ryan Roll, the middle linebacker, and the Buckeyes' leading tackler for the season, put the hit on Corliss. Still no first downs for Penn State, and the 3rd punt already for Jeremy Boone.
Sean, the other thing that Ohio State is doing is something that you and I have talked about the last 2 times we had Penn State. Ohio State is challenging the Penn State receivers. They're walking up on them, and they're giving them pressure at the line of scrimmage. And that messes up a little bit of the timing, which allows the defensive front to be able to get after that offensive line.
Jeremy Boone, good distance on that kick. Very small. Flag down as Small goes down near the 37-yard line. Josh Hall, the starting middle linebacker and leading tackler for the Penn State defense, down there covering the punt. 45-yard punt, 9-yard return. But there is a flag.
During return, illegal block in the back, number 55, White. 10 yards, spot of the foul, first down.
Terrell Pryor, Pennsylvania native from Jeannette, PA, returns to his home state, leading the Ohio State Buckeyes into battle. He and the Ohio State team off to a great start. Pryor's touchdown run after a fine punt return by Ray Small. The only score of the game. Terrell said it would be emotional coming here. He knew the fans would be after him. He comes out in the shotgun and hands it off to Brandon Sane. When we spoke with Terrell a couple of nights ago, he said the hardest part about deciding not to go to Penn State was telling Tom Bradley, the defensive coordinator, that he wasn't coming. The two of them became very close. Bradley saw an awful lot of those high school football and basketball games at Jeannette. As a matter of fact, he won a state title in basketball next door in the Bryce Jordan Center. 2-time state player of the year. Bradley made that 120-mile trip many, many times. Go see Terrell Pryor, and they still have a very close relationship. As a matter of fact, Terrell texted him this week, said, "Don't be sending all those blitzes at me." Brandon Sane gobbled up by Bradley's defense with Josh Hall, the senior from Millheim, PA, leading the way.
And that was one of those blitzes you were just talking about. And one of the things that Tom Bradley, people think that he's just very vanilla with his defensive call, and he's not. When you study what he does a lot of things. It's not just simple cover 3. He brings a lot of zone blitzes. Dick LeBeau is one of the guys who's mentored him. So he's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve, and he's going to need them today.
For those who've been criticizing Pryor, Tom Bradley, one of those who cautioned it is still very early in his collegiate career, and he has enormous talent. Pryor on the run on 3rd and 9, throws to Small, caught but short of the first down, as they'll mark it at the 34, about 2 yards shy of the marker. Stephon Morris made the play for Tom Bradley's defense, and Ohio State will punt.
And one of the things that Tom Bradley and that defensive staff emphasized all week long is don't underestimate the speed of Terrell Pryor. And so they did a good job there that time of getting flat, getting down the line, and forcing him to make the throw.
John Toma punts. Drew Astorino let it bounce, and the Buckeyes down at the 29. 37-yard punt. Here's Matt Weiner in New York.
Thank you, Sean. Here's a Verizon Wireless update on the Oregon Ducks, fresh off their domination of USC, but trailing 10-0 at Stanford. When LaMichael James gets to work, guy's averaging 140 yards a game since replacing LeGarrette Blount. He's got a leg up there with a 60-yard touchdown run. 3-point game there, and LSU and Alabama tied up scoreless in the first.
Oregon's won the last 7 head-to-head with Stanford. Jim Harbaugh's done a great job. A win today for the Cardinal gets them bowl eligible for the first time since 2001.
Yeah, you got it right. Jim Harbaugh has done a fantastic job out there at Stanford. He's not done yet. He'll get some recruiting kids in there and they'll do well.
Evan Royster trying to find some running room. It's been hard to come by so far. He got 6 on first down before he ran into Cameron Hayward again at Austin Spittler.
Spittler's a player who's been active. That's a pretty good linebacker trio. You got Holman there, you got Spittler, and then Roll. All 3 of them run well. All 3 of them read very well. And when that defensive line, when it's on, especially in the interior, these guys make a lot of plays. There is the interior right now. Cameron Hayward.
I formation now behind Clark. Brandon Beecham, the ball carrier. He's very near the first down at the 39-yard line. Beecham, a powerful back. He's out of Youngstown, Ohio. As a matter of fact, he was a ball boy for Darrell Clark's high school team when Darrell was playing high school football. Ursuline and Youngstown. Beecham was the ball boy and idolized Darrell Clark. Now they're playing together.
Yeah, and they're good together. And Beecham's a powerful guy, much like you talked about with Darrell Clark. But this kid, this is his wheelhouse right here. The short yardage situations. It's a tough kid.
But they definitely have some weights in Youngstown, Ohio. When you look at Clark and Beecham, Clark keeps it himself. And if you didn't know Darrell Clark was the linebacker, was the quarterback when we were at practice the other night, he came over to talk to us, you'd think he was a linebacker the way he's put together.
Yeah, he is. He's slapped together pretty darn good. Beecham the same way. I think Penn State does a good job with their strength training up here, but inevitably it comes down to the guy. I mean, you still have to put the work in. You still have to pound them. You still have to put all the time in. These guys do their job.
Joe Paterno keeps saying Darrell Clark does not get enough credit for what he has done, particularly the fact that he's been a winner. 19-3. Some here in Happy Valley starting to beat the drum for Clark as a Heisman Trophy candidate in a wide open race. Here's Graham Zog off to the races. First down, Penn State to the 29. Anderson Russell made the tackle after a 31-yard gain.
Sean, that is a fantastic throw. And really, all this amounts to is a long handoff. Watch how he elites him right there. Run to the ball. Hits him perfectly in stride and allows Zug to be able to use his speed and get down that left sideline. That's really well done.
Zug came as a walk-on. They said he was too slow to play at this level. I think we saw evidence that that's not true. His only scholarship offer was from Delaware. His family at Penn State, his dad went to school here. His brother was in the band. And his sister is a field hockey player here. Evan Royster carries down to the 23-yard line. Doug Worthington, another captain for Ohio State, made the tackle. But at the end of the first quarter, it's Penn State finally finding a rhythm on offense. 7-0 Buckeyes after the first 15 minutes in Happy Valley. McDonough, Matt Millen, Holly Rowe back at Beaver Stadium, State College, Pennsylvania. Ohio State leads 7-0. But Penn State is on the move for the first time today. Their first 3 possessions yielded 12 yards and no first downs. This drive, 5 plays, 48 yards. Second down on the Ohio State 23. And Darrell Clark gets the first down himself inside the 17. Ryan rolled the tackle. We look at the Pacific Life game summary. As you might expect between these two teams, a defensive struggle. Last year in Columbus, Penn State was victorious. The final was 13-6, and we might have that kind of a game again today.
You know, Sean, that's a great point, because the recipe for success for both these schools always starts on the defensive side of the ball. They emphasize that and they play that.
And off to Joe Suey. A great Penn State family, including his dad, Matt Suey, played in the NFL. Joe, the fullback, got 4 to the 13-yard line.
He had a good series the other night, Matt Suey. It was had an outstanding for the Yankees.
Oh, it's a different Matsui. That was Hideki Matsui.
Oh, sorry about that. Well, Joe, his son, is going to be a very good player. Just growing, he's going to grow into this position, but a lot of similarities between him and Matsui. The Matsui.
Brandon Beecham, the lone back now. Buckeyes crowding the line of scrimmage. Clark given time. End zone, incomplete. Looking for Derek Moy. Flags down. Devon Torrance had the coverage. He thought it was good coverage. The officials apparently do not concur.
Oh, I might be on Devon Torrance's side. That was good position. He took away the inside, and the ball came over the top. He still had his position.
Pass interference, defense number 10. Ball replaced at the 2-yard line, automatic first down.
Dave Whipple, the referee, almost seemed amused. Clearly Jim Tressel wasn't.
Yeah, see, he kept inside position. You know, the face guarding is out of the rule. Had he turned,
hands on.
Yeah, he does have his hands on him. Had he turned, he could have had a pick, actually. He had great position.
So first and goal. Penn State has scored in each of their last 26 possessions in the red zone. Clark kept it. Zips one. Too hot to handle for Mickey Schuler. The tight end who plays in 2 tight end situations, and they'll use that formation a lot.
Well, and he had to rush the throw. It was a well-designed play, but he had pressure up in his face and had to rush the throw and put a little heat on that thing back inside. He'd like to have that one back, but well defended by the Buckeyes.
Clark needed 16 passing yards today to pass Todd Boeckman in a 6th place on the all-time yardage list at Penn State. More than 4,800. He has achieved that mark. Trying to power in. Got down inside the 1, but not across the goal line. Brian Roll leading the defense for Ohio State.
This is good by Roll, meeting him at the top. But Suey's going to try to go high right here. Roll meets him on an upward blow right there. Holman was in on it as well. Well done by those Ohio State linebackers. And if they're doing their job, that means the defensive line did their job and kept the linemen off of them so that they could strike on the rise.
Beecham, the only back now behind Clark. They let Clark keep it. That's a long way to go. Well, full yard, and he's not going to get there. They had marked the ball back at the 1-yard line, and that's a long quarterback sneak to hope to come up with, and he didn't get there. And now Joe Paterno has a decision to make. They had 1st and goal at the 2. Now it's 4th and goal from about the foot from the goal line.
You know, Sean, maybe the offensive coordinators or the offensive minds for Penn State have been looking at a different defensive line for Ohio State than we have been. Because the interior of the Ohio State defensive lines, look at Galen Hall, the play caller, offensive coordinator, they have been winning the battle in that trench area.
They're going for it again. Clark this time up and over. Touchdown. And a skirmish after the score. The officials signaled touchdown right away when Clark broke the plane. But then a lot of pushing and shoving in that pile, and now order quickly restored. And the Nittany Lions are an extra point away from a tie game.
All he has to do is break the plane at that goal line. They're looking for a timeout there. And whoa, Nelly, I don't know about that one.
And I think Joe Paterno would like to see this extra point kicked quickly before the replay could buzz down and stop it. Colin Wagner kicks it too late now.
Sean, you see the same thing I saw.
Yep.
That didn't look like it broke the plane.
They scored a touchdown for Terrell Pryor, his 6th rushing touchdown of this season, capping a 71-yard drive for Penn State.
Buffalo
Wild Wings presents the top 30 plays of the last 30 years. 15. In the 1992 National Championship game, Miami wide receiver Lamar Thomas was sprinting toward an 89-yard touchdown reception. That's when Alabama safety George T caught him from behind and stripped the ball away, costing Miami a touchdown and leading Alabama toward the victory. Follow the top 30 countdown all season long. Brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings.
One of the memorable plays, certainly the last 30 years. Alabama's most recent national championship won that night. Be sure to tune in tonight. ABC Saturday Night Football. The countdown continues. You might be wondering, folks, why are they kicking the extra point again? Colin Wagner made it. Well, while we were away in the break, the referee Dave Whitvote announced that the replay booth had in fact buzzed the field prior to the extra point being kicked to review the touchdown play. So this is what they looked at the booth, and they deemed that it was a touchdown.
See, there it doesn't look like it, but then as he goes, he continues, his body continues to go. You don't know where the ball is, and so it has to be indisputable. And so they went with the call on the field.
And that's been a big topic of conversation in recent weeks. The replay booth is really here to correct obvious glaring errors, and there needs to be indisputable video proof to do that. And in recent weeks, in the Big Ten in particular, the replay officials have occasionally been criticized for being too active in overturning calls that were made on the field when perhaps there wasn't clear proof that the call on the field was wrong. We think back to the Indiana-Iowa game of a week ago for examples of that. So the call stands. Darrell Clark's touchdown stands. They re-kick the extra point. Wagner made it again, and now his squib kick is finally picked up by Lamar Thomas, and he is swung down shy of the 50.
That's
Nathan Stupar,
whose father also played here at Penn State. Is another one of those father-son combinations, and the coaching staff's high on that kid. But big play, they do a poor job on the front end of this. And then once he finally gets his hands on it, Stupar gets his hands on him.
over his 44 years as head coach at Penn State, Joe Paterno has coached 25 father and son combinations, including Nathan Stupar and his dad Steve, who was a lineman here in the late 70s. In fact, there are 8 players on this team who are sons of guys who played for Joe Paterno. Unsportsmanlike conduct signal given by Dave Whitvote. Offsetting fouls, and the ball marked at the 19-yard line. So here's Pryor with the crowd really engaged now. Trying to quiet the crowd with Boom Heron going boom into Drew Astorino, and ahead to the 23 for a gain of 4.
You know, we've been talking about Cameron Hayward on one side, and on the other side you have another one, Jared Odrick. And Odrick, that time Boom Heron wanted to go inside and then had to bounce it outside because Odrick took away the inside completely. And these are two outstanding defensive linemen. Odrick, the senior, this is a guy who's got nothing but better and better as the season's gone on.
One of the best in the country in the middle of that defensive line. Pryor out of the shotgun. Heron slides ahead to the 24. A gain of 2. They had marked the previous run down at the 22. And it'll be 3rd down and 5 for Ohio State. Eric Lattimore made the stop at Penn State.
Lattimore 56, that right end, and then again on the inside, Odrick. And so I think when you start looking at both these defenses, we talked about the recipes being the same. It always starts on the inside with the defensive line.
Buckeyes are 0 for 3 on 3rd down. Terrell Pryor gets the first down and much more. And as you mentioned, it doesn't always look like he's moving that fast because he's so smooth and he's such a long strider. And as Tom Bradley said, when you put on the tape, he's running by defenders who appear to have an angle on him.
And he will outrun angles. And that's the thing with Terrell Pryor you have to be careful of. Because on every step, you're making a decision as a defender of where am I going? And you're judging. And one of the things you're judging is how fast he's moving. And so you, with Terrell Pryor, you have to judge just a little bit more.
24-yard run. That's against the best third down defense in the country in Penn State. Herron banged down to the line of scrimmage by Devin Still, a backup defensive tackle. Here's Matt Wider in New York.
All right, John, the SportsCenter right now is presented by Sprint. Number 6 TCU figures to move up in the BCS standings thanks to the Iowa loss. Horned Frogs at San Diego State have a 13-0 lead in Southern California. Meanwhile, number 8 Oregon 7-game win streak is on the line at Stanford. 2 Toby Gerhart touchdown runs, though, have given the Cardinal a 17-7 lead.
Wonder about the hangover for Oregon after they annihilated USC. Last week, Sean Lee takes down Dan Herron, but he's into Penn State territory at the 45-yard line. It'll be another third down, 3rd and 3 for the Buckeyes.
Well, Desmond Howard on the pregame show was talking about how this Penn State linebacking crew has to be active and how they have to make plays. And he specifically spoke about Sean Lee. And Sean Lee is one of those guys who's back now. And he's an outstanding defender. He's still going to continue to get better.
Missed 3 games this year with leg injuries. Pryor down the seam and caught in traffic. Nick Suke put the hit on Dane Sanzenbacher, but he held on for a 22-yard gain.
Right down here, you're going to see Sanzenbacher just in the zone, and Suke comes over. Now over the top is Wallace, but he's just sitting in the gray area. Whenever you attack zones, you attack the gray area where players overlap. Sanzenbacher did it perfectly.
Averaging 20 yards per catch. Movement. When we think of all the great players of these two schools, all the wins, both schools with more than 800 wins, and yet a lot of the key players in this game on both sides are not highly recruited players.
Right. False start. Offense. Number 7. 5 yards. Without remaining.
We talked to Dane Sanzenbacher the other day. He's from Toledo, Ohio, which is kind of on the Michigan border, so there are a lot of Michigan fans, a lot of Ohio State people up there. He said he was just on a bus trip, not really being recruited by Ohio State. He went to 14 different football camps in 14 days a couple of summers ago. They stopped at Ohio State. The Ohio State coaches liked him and just started to recruit him. And here he is with a flag now. Big gain if it stands. As a matter of fact, it'll be a first down if the play stands.
That one's coming back, Sean. There's a hold on the inside. We talked about Sanzenbacher. There's a place for players all over in every sport. Guys who understand, know how to do their job.
Offense number 82. 10 yards. Repeat first down.
And that's Ray Small who had that big return. But that time he gets himself a big hold.
Sanzenbacher knew Ted Ginn Sr., the high school football coach in the Cleveland area, went on a tour of a lot of different college football camps with him, wound up at Ohio State after a good performance in the camp. And you saw the block by Small.
That was Drew Astorino, the safety who closed fast.
Ball back at the 38. First down, 25. They hand it off to Sanzenbacher on the end around. And he's upended at the 33-yard line by A.J. Wallace. Eight minutes to go now, first half. Ohio State and Penn State tied at 7. Tied with one loss in Big Ten Conference play with Iowa. If you're just joining us, Iowa lost at home today to Northwestern. Ricky Stanzi, their fine quarterback, injured early in that ball game, did not return. Pryor handed it off to Boom Herron. And he fought his way down to the 29-yard line. Aerial coverage of today's game is provided by Goodyear. New Goodyear Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. What a beautiful day for the blimp to be up there. Last time we were here 3 weeks ago, mid-October, they had their earliest snow ever in Happy Valley.
Yeah, and it looks like there's snow everywhere except for, take a guess where the Ohio State fans are in the stadium. Just venture a little guess right there.
And there's an all-white whiteout in that student section. They have 21,000 seats in that Penn State student section. Screen set up. Good catch by Jake Ballard, the tight end. And he's short of the first down at the 25, well short. Now let's see now if Jim Tressel opts for the field goal with the new kicker, Devin Bartley. He passed on a 47-yard try in the first quarter.
This would be about a 42-yarder right here. 43. 42.
Bartley came in last week after Petrie got injured and attempted 3 field goals, went 1 for 3, made a 29-yarder, missed from 36 and 47. Former professional soccer player, 26 years old. Movement.
That looked like the center kind of gave a little bit of a little jerk move first.
Illegal contact. Defense number 85. 5 yards. The down remains 4.
It's Ali Agbu, number 85 on the inside.
They'll make it a shorter kick now for Barclay. After he was released by the Columbus Crew, his 4th professional soccer team at age 22. The Crew team chaplain asked him, have you ever kicked the field goal, kicked the football? They went to a local high school. He kicked the football and kicked it very well. Wound up getting instruction. And wound up walking on at Ohio State. And now in a key game, boots a field goal of 37 yards. Jim Tressel said it's nice when guys like that just walk into your program. 10-7 Buckeyes.
College football presented by K Jewelers. Brought to you by 2010 Ram Trucks. Giving tough a smarter name. Ram. Aflac. We've got you under our wing. And Bud Light with the just right taste that's not too heavy, not too light.
Yeah, to look at the Pennsylvania Military Museum, not far from Beaver Stadium. It opened in 1969. Honors citizens of the Commonwealth who served our country. Some great exhibits and extensive collections of relics and artifacts. Devin Barclay ready to kick off. He showed a good kickoff leg last week against New Mexico State. A lot of them right down to the goal line or into the end zone.
Oh, he got himself a strong leg. And what he showed the last time is he can place it as well.
Placing Aaron Petrie, Mel Kiper Jr. has Petrie rated as the #1 senior kicker in the country. So that's a big blow for Ohio State. He had knee surgery, did Petrie. There's a chance he could be back for a bowl game. Chaz Powell had trouble picking up the kickoff. Then there's a flag down at the 12. Powell down at the 17. That's more of the same for Penn State. They've been brutal returning kicks this year. 110th in the country out of 120, averaging only 18 yards per kickoff return.
And they've been harping on it.
During the return, they'll lock the block in the back. Number 3 of the returning team. Half the distance to the goal line. First down.
On their way to 111.
And Beecham called for the illegal block. Darrell Clark and the Nittany Lions on offense after a timeout.
You're watching college football presented by K Jewelers.
Joe Paterno and Jim Tressel matching wits today. First time ever in college football history that 2 head coaches with a combined 600 wins or more have met. Joe Paterno and Bobby Bowden met in the bowl game with 600 wins plus combined. It's the first time this has ever happened in the regular season when the 2 coaches have more than 600 wins total. Brian Roll tripped up Evan Royster, and these two coaches have known each other for a long time. Jim Tressel told us when he got out of college in Baldwin-Wallace in the mid-70s, where he played for his dad, Lee Tressel, he came here to interview with Joe Paterno for a job as a graduate assistant, and Joe offered him the position. But Lee Tressel counseled his son to take a similar job at Akron, because at Akron he'd be much more involved in recruiting and coaching a position. He'd get more experience in a variety of different areas. Jim Tressel said he wanted to come here, but as usual his dad was right, because he got great hands-on experience at Akron. Evan Royster about 2 yards short of the first down as again he collided with Brian Roll.
Yeah, and then of course Coach Paterno told us yesterday that he also tried to hire him later when he was at Youngstown to bring him onto the staff as a bona fide position coach. But I think that Coach Tressel's done the right thing, and he's blazed his own trail, and now he's got his Buckeyes leading 10-7 here.
Joe said Jim Tressel's a lot like his dad. Said Lee Tressel was a man of great class, and he feels that Jim Tressel embodies those same characteristics, class and integrity. Graham Zugg's wide open, and Penn State converts on third down and short. Zug to the 28, 14 yards. First down, Nittany Lions. Kurt Coleman the tackle.
Well, it's well protected. Just buys that outside time right there, and Zug just sits down in the hole. Very simple. Got a Penn State Nittany Lion down right there.
It is Johnny Troutman, the starting left guard, sophomore from New Jersey. And that would be a big blow. They've started to find a rhythm in recent weeks as an offensive line. Although the lingering question here in Happy Valley is how good is Penn State? They're 8-1. The one loss here at home to Iowa. But they haven't played a team prior to today that was ranked at the time of the meeting. Iowa's ranked now, but when they came here to play Joe Paterno's club, the Hawkeyes were not ranked. Well, they're 8-1, but it's against a pretty soft schedule leading up to today. We're looking at Johnny Troutman, the starting left guard on the sideline. Redshirt freshman Matt Stankiewicz has come in to take his place at left guard. On 1st and 10 for the Nittany Lions from their own 28. Ohio State leads 10-7. 4:20 to go first half. Darrell Clark sets and throws a deep ball. Single coverage out there. And Chaz Powell couldn't catch it. Chimdi Chekwa was running with him.
Chekwa was man for man, stride for stride. And Powell has some speed, and Chekwa matched it. So they bring him in right away. The guard, Stankiewicz. Matt, how did you say it? Stankiewicz. He ran by his block, but he was able to get this ball off. That's actually a good job by Powell to get his hands off the ball, because that could have been a pick.
Buckeyes have a good secondary play this year. They have 15 interceptions entering today. That's third most in the country. The 14th in the country in pass defense. Evan Royster smothered. And it's Matt's favorite player today, Cameron Hayward.
I think is Ohio State's favorite player today. Between he and Roll, they've been destroying this offensive front. Hayward started off strong, and he hasn't stopped. Penn State is going to have to be able. Now, Quarles is trying to block him on the inside, and that's a mismatch. I don't care what tight end it is. He's going to win that battle. A big, powerful kid. He gets off the ball very, very well. He's strong at the point, and he can redirect, and that's what sets him apart.
Hayward has 8 tackles already today. Former Georgia Class 5A Defensive Player of the Year, very highly recruited out of Sewanee, Georgia. Clark is surrounded, got it off, and here's Zug with running room. First down out to midfield. Ball's out at the end of the play, and it's still alive. Kurt Coleman knocked the ball out. Thaddeus Gibson picks it up and runs with it. Zug saying I was down. He's pleading his case to the referee. Of course, this year the officials are instructed if there's any question, let the play out, then go back rather than blow the whistle prematurely. At least for now, it stands as a fumble and an Ohio State recovery.
Well, here's Graham Zug right here.
Oh,
he's down. The ball cannot, the ground can't cause a fumble especially when he's being tackled. It can cause a fumble if he's not being tackled, but he is being tackled. He's down, the ball is down, his elbow's down, and that should be right there.
There's
right
no
there.
doubt
First
that's going to be overturned.
Yeah.
And he's down for a while. But as we mentioned, been an emphasis this year on letting the play out. It's easier to go back and correct this kind of a play than have the whistle blow early when it shouldn't have.
Right. So there's first the left elbow hitch, then the right elbow. He's down, and then the ball comes out.
His left elbow, I think every part of his body was down before that ball came out. It was just about flat on the ground. 26-yard gain. Zug, the guy who was too slow to get a scholarship out of high school. Receptions of 31, 13, and 26 today.
Zug everywhere, all over the place.
After further review, the runner was down. It will be first down for Penn State at the 50-yard line.
And that's the right call, and that's what the review is there for. And they went back and they corrected it, and that's the right thing.
Penn State has not committed a turnover in their last 3 games. During their 5-game winning streak, they're +9 in turnover margin. They've committed a Big Ten low 12 turnovers for the year. Of course, it was the turnovers that were costly in their loss to Iowa, and the block punt was a huge play. Hard to pick their most impressive win of the year, probably at Northwestern. Swing pass to Chaz Powell. And great reaction to the ball by Brian Roll, his 9th tackle. Here's today's Aflac trivia question. Well, what is the only Big Ten school to defeat Ohio State in consecutive years during Jim Tressel's tenure as head coach, which is now in its 9th season? And that's something that Penn State trying to do today. They won in Columbus last year against the Buckeyes, trying to beat them on their home field today.
Well, Holly Rowe knew it right away. Boy, she spit that thing right out.
We would say in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, it's because she's wicked smart. A little too hot to handle for Royster out of the backfield with Kurt Coleman, a hard hitter, lining up Evan Royster.
And we said that both these quarterbacks had to come out and settle themselves down. Darrell Clark in particular gets emotional. Sometimes he comes out and he gets a little unsettled. And speaking to Galen Hall, he said he likes to give him throws that are easier in the beginning to get him calmed down and get him into a rhythm.
He doesn't remember the end of their win last year in Columbus. He suffered a concussion late in that game. Pat Devlin actually came in and led them to the winning score. Pat Devlin has since transferred to Delaware. Dennis Landolt appeared to move on the left end of the Penn State line, but there was movement on the Ohio State front as well.
Illegal contact, defense number 90. 5 yards. The down remains 3rd.
Well, it goes against Thaddeus Gibson, the 6th penalty assessed against Ohio State already.
I see. So Gibson initiated it. I didn't see any contact, but he initiated it, and then you got the reaction, and they're gonna call it on the defense. That's a change in rules a few years back.
.224 to go. All 3 timeouts remaining for both teams.
Look like they're locked up man.
On 3rd down and 5, off the hands of Zug and incomplete. Off the hands of Beecham.
Well,
that was Zug.
I like what they're doing outside, Sean, in terms of tight coverage, but it's all made possible because of the inside. Here's Cameron Hayward again. Boy, he's going on your guy Stankiewicz there, Stankiewicz rather, and just overpowered him. And that's smart by Ohio State to find the new guy and get in there and let him get his rear end whip too.
Penn State moved the ball. Could not score, and now Jeremy Boone hangs up a high punt.
That's a live ball.
It is. It struck an Ohio State Buckeye and carries into the end zone.
That could be a safety.
Chekwa.
No. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a touchback.
Yeah, it's a touchback.
He has the right to go in there and get it. Impetus of the ball carrying into the end zone. The public address announcer, Dean DeVore, trying to incite the crowd a bit. He said, that is ruled a touchback. He might have wanted to say it is ruled correctly a touchback.
But it's still a kick when it enters into the end zone. It is a touchback.
That's a good explanation by the officials. You could clearly see Chekwa. It was inadvertent, but it's still a kick, and he still has to go back and recover. Now, it was a live ball. Had Penn State jumped on it, it would have been 6.
Jim Tressel knows the rules. That's why he's not arguing. Yeah, he knows. Of course, he wasn't arguing because the call went in his favor, too. He knew immediately. It was a touchback, and you wish the officials would do that all the time. Just take the couple of seconds to explain in a situation where the rule isn't always well known. Dan Herron carries for a yard, and the clock goes under 2 minutes left.
We saw on the last series, you saw Cameron Hayward affect the play, and now we turn around and you have Jared Odrick affecting the play. Both these guys, they've brought their A games today.
You would expect Ohio State would play it conservatively here. They're not in any hurry. You would also anticipate, Matt, that should there be little or no gain here on the next play for Ohio State, Penn State might call a timeout.
Well, they both have their full complement of 3 timeouts.
Herron stopped just about at the line of scrimmage. Jared Odrick in on the play again. Time to answer our Aflac trivia question. We want to know, what is the only Big Ten school to defeat Ohio State in consecutive years during Jim Tressel's tenure as head coach of the Buckeyes? And the answer, as Holly Rowe knew immediately, Wisconsin back in 2003-2004. Since Jim Tressel got to Ohio State in 2001, he has a winning record against every Big Ten team.
And as you predicted, Penn State does take their timeout, which is the right thing to do. Sets up this 3rd down, and they can get the ball back with some time on the clock to try to at least even this thing up. We've been talking about Cameron Hayward like we talked about, and then Jared Odrick as well. And on the interior, these 2 guys have really, they've really, like I said, brought their A game, but they have been very, very active, making lots of tackles and disrupting things on the inside.
Here's Holly.
Right now, it's so loud down here. They're going to go quick here, so I'll do it right after.
And now Ohio State takes a timeout.
Well, the play clock was about to expire. It took a long time to get back out there. So a timeout called by the Buckeyes. Each team with 2 remaining with 1:22 to go in the half. Back at Beaver Stadium, the crowd has been obeying the instruction to get loud. Ohio State leading 10-7 with the ball on their own 21-yard line. 3rd down and 9.
Pryor gets out of there, and they go to the Wildcat. Here's Pryor up top. He can run.
Direct snap to Boom Herron. He goes Boom at the 23. And in Devon still. Timeout, Penn State, 1:16 to go in the half. 1 timeout left for the Nittany Lions. Here's Holland.
There's a 30-second timeout.
Overcome that is by using these wristbands. All of the offensive skill players have a wristband, but it's on the belt of their pants, so you can see them look over, get the signal, and then look at their wristbands. And this is pretty smart. If you think about it, Ohio State plays in front of these big of crowds almost every single week in the Big Ten. Terrell Pryor told us before the game, hey, noise isn't an issue for us because we have such a good system. It really never affects us. Good coaching by Jim Tressel.
And Holly, to piggyback on that, Penn State also knew that they were going to have a lot of loud times for their defense, so they practiced their defense all week with speakers blaring, anticipating, because they communicate as well.
4th punt of the day for John Toma. And trouble on the catch by Graham Zug. And they're still pushing and shoving and digging for the ball at the 33-yard line. Buckeyes think they have it. The officials say no. Zug got it back.
There was indecision between he and Astorino. And then he gets on top of it, and then here's where all the grubbing comes in, down the bottom of that pile.
And it winds up just as a 43-yard punt. Tonight, 8 Eastern on ABC. Most of you are going to see 5th ranked and undefeated Cincinnati hosting Big East rival Connecticut. The rest of the nation will see number 24 Oklahoma or Nebraska, or number 12 USC against Arizona State. Check your local listings for the game in your area. That's tonight, Saturday Night Football primetime, presented by Southwest Airlines, 8 Eastern on ABC.
Well, the Bearcats are playing great football right now.
Clark with a flag down, has a wide open receiver in the flat bracket. Deep on the depth chart at wide receiver, just his third catch of the year. Kurt Coleman knocked him out of bounds.
Offense number 10. 10 yards. Repeat first down.
Andrew Corliss, the tight end.
And they try to get the edge, and Corliss is on the edge trying to set it. And they're going to take Terrell Clark and roll him up top. And in order to do that, he's got to be able to get the edge. And his version of getting the edge was just throwing him down. Officials are right on top of it. Sets up this 1st and 20.
See number 54, Matt Stankiewicz, the backup, still in there at left guard for Johnny Troutman. Suffered a leg injury earlier in this quarter and has not returned. Still aggressive with a minute to go. The receiver slipped down at the 28-yard line. Derek Moy, the intended target, and the ball went over his head with Jamel Hines in coverage. We're at Beaver Stadium in State College, Pennsylvania. Ohio State ranked number 16 in this week's BCS standings against number 11 Penn State. Sean McDonough, Matt Millen, Holly Rowe on a gorgeous November afternoon with the temperature in the mid-50s. These two teams now part of a three-way tie for first place in the Big Ten, with Iowa, all with one conference loss after the Hawkeyes lost at home today to Northwestern. Good open field tackle by Ross Holman to take down Evan Royster. And now a timeout called by Jim Tressel. One timeout left for the Buckeyes. 47 seconds to go in the half. Tomorrow right here on ABC, the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup continues with the Dickies 500 at Texas. Only 3 races remaining. Jimmy Johnson has a commanding lead in his quest for the unprecedented 4th straight championship. It's the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, Dickies 500, tomorrow 2:30 Eastern on ABC. Coverage begins with NASCAR Countdown. Jimmy still leading the chase. Mark Martin second. Juan Pablo Montoya back into the top 5. And once again, I'm picking Jeff Gordon to win the race. Because if I keep picking him every week, sooner or later he's going to win that.
Well, that was my theory with Mark Martin, and it hasn't worked. But I'm going to go. I think it sounds like, and I don't know much about NASCAR. I know that shocks you. But it sounds like this one's basically done, doesn't it?
Yeah, Jimmy can average a 10th place finish the last 3 races and still win. Evan Royster carries on 3rd down and long. Do you want the order of finish tomorrow? I've been doing this as a public service for our NASCAR fans every week. Timeout has been called. Jeff Gordon, Carl Edwards, and Matt Kenseth will be the top 3 in some order. Carl Edwards won both races at Texas last year. Matt Kenseth always runs well there, so that's your order tomorrow. The Dickies 500 on ABC.
You sound very confident with that.
I know what's going to happen. I have ESPN. Who knows what's going to happen in the Big Ten? The race certainly changed earlier this afternoon with Iowa losing for the first time this year. They lost at home to Northwestern. Congratulations to the Cats, now bowl eligible. The bigger story, the 3-way tie, 1 loss apiece for Iowa, Penn State, and Ohio State. The Buckeyes host the Hawkeyes in Columbus next Saturday. Good punt by Jeremy Boone. Ray Small runs it back to the 42-yard line. And we'll see how the Bucks play it with no timeouts. 26 seconds left, but good field position. Josh Hull made the tackle on Small.
Still have enough time to be able to get into field goal position here. Remember, on a first down, the clock will stop in college football. They don't have any more timeouts left, but they'll play the outside and then just hurry it up. They're about from where the last field goal was. They have about maybe 20 yards, 25 yards to go.
They've played it conservatively. Pryor has thrown only 6 passes. He's 3 out of 6 passing for 33 yards. He's run for 31. He's the leading rusher for the season for Ohio State, in addition to being their leading passer. Steps up. He's across the line. He'll run. He has, it appears, a first down. They'll mark it at the Penn State 47. Well done by Pryor.
Takes off 6 seconds, stops the clock, gets the first down, and now you're 15 yards away, or probably 10 to 15 yards away from having a shot at kicking a field goal.
In case you're wondering, the last Buckeye to lead the team in rushing and passing in the same season was Don Clark. You might have played against him back in 1956.
I was sick that day.
Were you? I know Marty Aronoff did stats for that game, as he is again today. Terrell Pryor airing it out. He has a man open, and it's just too long for Dane Sanzenbacher.
He got on top of A.J. Wallace, and Sean, you were 100%. He was dead wide open. A.J. Wallace is looking back inside, and Sanzenbacher just sits right by him. And the ball out of his reach, a wasted opportunity for the Buckeyes to put 6 on the board. Rule number 1 in any zone, even you're cover 2, you still have to get depth with it. Don't let anybody get behind you.
.12 seconds to go in the half. 2nd and 10 Ohio State. Leading 10-7. From the 46. Pryor has another open receiver, but he threw it over the head of Small. 5 seconds to go. Would have been a short gain.
And now you have 1 shot. Now you got to go to the end zone. You take 1 shot into the end zone, see what happens. Because the 5 seconds, that's all you'll get for the play.
Jim Tressel walked almost out to the numbers at the 50-yard line to give Pryor the play. Jim calls the plays with plenty of input from Jim Bowman, the offensive coordinator. It is certainly too long for a Barkley field goal here. Serious prevent defense now for Penn State. And Pryor will throw it up for grabs right near the goal line. It is batted down. They're well coached, and it was Drew Astorino who knew to knock it down.
So Sean, it's the kind of half that we expected. 10-7 Ohio State. The second half's going to be even better.
And Joe Paterno said they're 2 evenly matched teams with outstanding defenses. He said it might come down to 1 big mistake. We'll see if that happens in the second half. 10-7 Bucks at the break. Here's the studio and the halftime report.
Thanks, guys, and welcome to the Capital One Halftime Report. Iowa's been living on the edge all year. 8 of 9 games this year they've trailed. They won them all. Ricky Stanzi, those sacked, fumbles. Marshall Thomas recovers for a touchdown. But worst case scenario, Stanzi injures his ankle.
And he would not return in the game. You see the way he lands awkwardly. 4 turnovers on the day for Iowa would lead to 14 points for Northwestern.
Dan Purser then finds Drake Dunsmore. 4-yard touchdown pass. Northwestern's up 14-10, but that's all right. Iowa's used to that. James Vandenberg under pressure, but he struggled.
Vandenberg only completed 33% of his passes for 52 yards and a pick. Finally, it catches up to them. Iowa goes down for the first time this season.
17-10 is the final. Here's what we talked about. These are the games they trailed going into the 4th quarter this year. Remember, coming in, 8 of 9 they trailed at some point, but these are the ones they trailed in the 4th quarter. They were able to pull them out. But this is a team now that could be in a little bit of trouble right now. They would have had to lose twice for Penn State to have a chance at the Big Ten title. Now they've got the 1 loss. They got Ohio State next week without Stanzi, maybe.
Iowa in a lot of trouble right now. We've talked all season long how resilient this football team is. It seems like each and every week they just have enough to get over the hump, whether it was 2 weeks ago, beating Michigan State in the last play of the game, overcoming 6 turnovers a week ago to beat Indiana. It finally caught up to them today. They've run into the injury bug. Starting tailback Adam Robinson out for the season 2 weeks ago. They get over that. Starting right guard Dace Robinson lost for the season 2 weeks ago. They get over that. But Ricky Stanzi going down. This is a guy who as a starter was 17-3 coming into today. They cannot get over that hurdle. This offense has really struggled now the last 2 weeks. They had 11 turnovers in the first 8 games, 10 now in the last 2. Must-win situation to beat Ohio State if they want to play in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, they need some help for the Big Ten championship, perhaps. All right, stick around. We're just getting started on the Capital One Half. halftime report. When we come back, we'll check the SEC. Can Alabama hold off LSU? And, of course, the Texas Longhorns stepping outside of the conference today to face Central Florida.
You're watching college football presented by Kay Jewelers. Time now for a Heisman flashback presented by Nissan. In 1978, Billy Sims became the third Oklahoma Sooner to win the Heisman Trophy. Sims led the nation in rushing, averaging more than 7 yards per carry, and had 3 straight games of over 300 yards. The Sooner running back led Oklahoma to a 10-1 regular season record that year and an Orange Bowl victory over Nebraska. Visit theheismanvote.com to cast your vote.
ESPN College Football on ABC continues tonight in prime time at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. 3 games. Check local listings for the game available in your area, or take a look at this map, see which color you have. I hope you're not right on the border of one of them. You're struggling unless you have 2 TVs. And over on ESPN2, #1 team in the nation, Florida takes on Vanderbilt, and Brandon Spikes sitting out the entire game for the IGAP.
And I think this one-game suspension hurts Brandon Spikes personally, because he came back this year to upgrade his draft stock in the National Football League. He's already missed a game and a half because of injury. He cannot afford to miss any more game tape to put on the film for these NFL GMs, coaches, and scouts. He's a leader, and I give him a lot of credit for coming back, taking himself out of this game, because he knew this was a distraction to the football team. But with guys like Rolando McClain, Alabama, running around making plays, helping themselves out, Brandon Spikes cannot afford to be on the sidelines. He needs to be getting that tape out. Does Brandon Spikes not playing hurt Florida in this football game? No, because Vanderbilt hasn't won an SEC game yet, but this does hurt Brandon Spikes personally.
This draft position, either late first round or early second round, that could make a big difference. Back with the second half after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Welcome back to State College, Pennsylvania. Just about ready for the second half. Ohio State leading Penn State 10-7. The defenses controlled the play in the first half. Sean McDonough, Matt Millen, Holly Rowe. Delighted to have you with us. Ohio State will kick off. Devin Barkley has it teed up at the 30-yard line. Good kick down to Chaz Powell. And good coverage by Ohio State as well. Nate Ebner made the tackle for the Buckeyes. Time now for the Pacific Life game summary. It was Ohio State scoring first after an excellent punt return by Ray Small. 41 yards, put them in close. Terrell Pryor in from 7 yards. Then on 4th and goal, Terrell Clark just did, in the opinion of the officials and the replay official, break the plane to the goal line. And then Devin Barkley, a 37-yard field goal, middle of the second quarter, to give Ohio State the 10-7 lead it still enjoys. Terrell Clark, 6 out of 14 passing for 80 yards in the first half. Starts with a play-action pass. And got it off. Thaddeus Gibson put the hit on him just as he went to throw it. Andrew Corliss couldn't come up with the catch. 2nd and 10.
You know, as you look at those numbers through the first half, and we said on the front end that it was going to be a defensive game, and we're spot on there. And if you want to look at why it's been that way on the Ohio State side of the ball, we talked about Cameron Hayward on the front end, and he's having an effect, and that defensive line of Ohio State's having an effect. Just the fact that Penn State comes out and starts to roll, not sit in the pocket, get outside, try to buy some time, gives evidence of what they're doing to the inside of the offensive line of Penn State.
Johnny Trelman is back in there at left guard for Penn State, helping the block for Royster, who runs for 8. It'll be 3rd and 2. Here's Holly.
Well, I caught up with Jim Tressel and Joe Paterno at the half. Coach Tressel said he really liked how his young quarterback, Terrell Pryor, played with all the attention and all the hype coming on his shoulders for this game. He said, I liked how he managed the game. He didn't surprise me how composed he was. But he says they continue to have to get better on offense and defense. Well, Joe Paterno said we were inconsistent. We had dumb penalties and we weren't good in the kicking game. He said, this is exactly the kind of football game I thought it was going to be, a tough defensive battle. We just have to be tougher.
And, of course, what Coach Paterno has been preaching for the last 50 years, don't beat yourself. And that's what they did in the first half.
He said, ordinarily you don't win games. More often than not, you lose games with big mistakes. Graham Zug, the catch on third down to move the chains for Coach Paterno. Now in his 60th year on the staff at Penn State, his 44th as head coach.
Nice protection. Gibson can't get there. Zug just sits down in the hole, and because he has time to step and throw, he's able to find him sitting there.
16-yard gain for Graham Zug, Jr. Manheim, Pennsylvania. 4 catches, 86 yards for Zug. 1st and 10, Penn State. Under duress, he's sacked. Cameron Hayward yet again back at the 38-yard line.
It looked like they planned a meeting at the quarterback that time. Cameron Hayward, like you said, he's played well from the first snap all the way through. He's in on Troutman. Oh, just a power move. Just a power move, and wins the battle of leverage. Gets back underneath Troutman, just sticks him in the face and gets around to the outside. Cameron Hayward has just been, like, I knew his dad very well, and his dad would be extremely pleased with the way this man's playing.
Craig Ironhead Hayward, the NFL running back, died at age 39 3 years ago after a long battle with brain tumors. Darrell Clark runs just shy of the first down to the 46. Cameron says he doesn't remember his dad's playing days all that well. They had a good relationship. And we might see another Hayward in the NFL when this young man's done in Columbus.
Oh, there's Ironhead right there. And yeah, you definitely will see another Hayward in the National Football League. But if he has any of his dad's personality and the ability to, that guy he could have fun in any situation. In the middle of the game, you had fun with Ironhead.
Came up short of the chain, but it was the initial chain. It's 3rd down and 11. Flag down for Clark. And Corliss the catch. He's out of bounds very near the first down marker, but there is a flag thrown in the offensive backfield, and they're going to bring it back.
It's going to be a hold.
Holding, offense number 74, 10 yards, repeat 3rd down.
That's Johnny Troutman, who's come in here in the second half. Again, he's working on Hayward. Hayward this time takes an inside move, and I'm not necessarily sure that's a hold. That might just be I don't think they have anything for dragging people down. Do they?
It was a tackle.
Tackle is okay.
It was a tackle.
So it'll end up on the tackle charge.
There's Craig Hayward, the dad. Great running back at Pitt. And what a nice year Dave Wanstead and the Panthers are having. 1st round pick of the Saints back in 1988. 11-year NFL career. 3rd down 21. Clark bouncing off, hits, and almost threw an interception. Ross Holman upset with himself that he couldn't corral his 3rd pick of the year.
Well, he's bouncing off hits as Darrell Clark in the pocket, and then he bounces this one right off of Holman. And again, they just collapsed the pocket. And Holman had a chance at that. Got one hand on it, but not two. So a good first series for the Ohio State Buckeyes as they reestablish that they're dominant in the line of scrimmage.
Jeremy Boone, good punt. Ray Small back inside the 15. And he got upended by his teammate. He's trying to help him. Devon Torrance, we check that. It's number 18, not number 10. Travis Howard inadvertently knocked down his own man. I mentioned earlier a lot of hype about how Terrell Pryor's from Jeanette, Pennsylvania, but bypassed Penn State to go to Columbus. Darrell Clark was not highly recruited coming out of Youngstown, Ohio. He crossed the border and came to Penn State.
Both of them are fiery. Both of them have played well, and they've been under control today. Clark's got to pick his game up here. He's going to need help from that O-line.
First play from scrimmage of the second half for the Buckeyes, and it's Brandon Sane pulled down by Sean Lee. And there's an injured Ohio State player back behind the line of scrimmage. Gain of about 6.
That's J.B. Shugarts, the starting right offensive tackle.
I mentioned earlier it was an inexperienced offensive line starting the year, but they've been bothered by injuries and illnesses. Playing without Mike Adams, one of their tackles, who had knee surgery. Jim Cordell just back in recent weeks. He's been bothered by leg injuries. Timeout, 11:28 to go in the third.
College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
Starting right tackle J.B. Shugarts on the sideline. They're looking at his left leg. Replaced by a true freshman, Marcus Hall. 6'5", 300 pounds out of Cleveland. Glenville, where he played for Ted Ginn Sr. 2nd and 4, Ohio State, early in the third quarter. Brandon Sane, a nice bounce to the outside. First down, much more. Finally pulled out of bounds by A.J. Wallace. Help from Josh Hull. 15 yards on the run for Brandon Sane.
Well, we said on the front end that Terrell Pryor was going to have some help, and he's going to have it in the running game, and they've responded tonight, and that's twofold. It's been the offensive line. They've done a good job of getting a body on a body, and then Boomherron and Sane both have run very well.
And almost entirely on the run for Ohio State. They have 144 yards rushing, with only 33 passing. And if it isn't broken, don't fix it. Sane for about 3 more, pulled down by Navarro Bowman. And they're doing this against the Penn State defense that had given up only 84 yards per game on the ground. 5th best in the country. Best rushing defense in the Big Ten. But they're not playing Akron, Syracuse, Temple, Illinois, Eastern Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, and Northwestern today. Those are the teams they have defeated.
And that's exactly right. And you got to bring your big boy pads if you're playing in the Big Ten.
Second and 7. Sane is stacked up, dropped for a loss back at the 39-yard line. Jerome Hayes, graduate student out of Bayonne, New Jersey, leading the defense for Tom Bradley.
Yeah, he makes that tackle, but the play was made up front by Jared Odrick. Odrick came off the ball and just blew the whole thing up. Look at right down here. Takes the whole thing. He's got 1, 2, and knocks off the backside guard. And by taking 3 guys, essentially, it allows Hayes to be able to make that play.
3rd and 10. Pryor out of the shotgun. Stepped up into the pocket, and it's incomplete through the hands of DeVere Posey. A.J. Wallace had coverage. Posey gestured as if he was disappointed he didn't catch that ball. Hard to tell if it was tipped on the way.
Well, Ogbu's right there getting some pressure, and a good job by Sean Lee, who got great depth and forced the ball to have to come high if it's going to go anywhere.
So John Toma punts. Graham Zug signals for the fair catch and makes it at the 13-yard line. 47-yard punt, and the defensive struggle continues here in Happy Valley.
You're watching college football presented by Kay Jewelers. College football presented by Kay Jewelers. Brought to you by Pacific Life. For insurance, annuities, and investments, choose Pacific Life. The power to help you succeed. Ford. We speak car. We speak innovation. Introducing the all-new Taurus. Drive one. And the Home Depot. Home Depot's lowering prices to make your home and season more festive.
Well, the best team on this campus right now is the Penn State women's volleyball team. 25-0, ranked number 1 in the nation. Last night they swept Wisconsin 3-0 to extend their winning streak to 89 straight matches. Tied with the Stanford women's tennis team for 3rd place on the NCAA's Division I consecutive wins list. They're playing Iowa tonight, hoping to extend that win streak to 90. Football team's down by 3. In trouble on the run. Royster stumbled back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, the Penn State running game has not been able to get on track. And part of that has been the play, like we said, from start to finish, and we've been documenting the defensive line play of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and they've really controlled the line of scrimmage.
Royster, who had run for 100 yards or more in 3 of the last 4 games, held to 37 yards on 11 carries. His longest rush of the day is 8 yards. Darrell Clark out of the gun on 2nd and 10. Design run to get him away from that relentless pass rush. Zug at the catch. Short gain. Jamel Hines made the tackle.
And that's smart. They move him outside, and one of the main reasons they have to has been Cameron Hayward. This is early. He takes the inside move. Then they try to block with a tight end coming down with Quarles. Just runs right through that. And then they go with power to the inside. Stankiewicz goes down for the count. This is my favorite one. Troutman comes in, and he just rudely greets him with a welcome back with a finely placed headbutt to the chin.
11 tackles for Cameron Hayward. 3rd down and 5. Clark faked the handoff to Royster, kept it himself, and he's well short of the 1st down. And the offense hears some boos as he went down at the 23 yards short of the marker in the arms of Ross Holman.
And so what happens when you have a defensive line who's taking it over and the pocket is collapsing fast? He's not been able to stand in there. They start rolling him out like that. You can't have a steady diet of that. And so they go back to trying to get some kind of a running game going. And they've not been able to do that. Not a good punt.
By Boone, and it goes out of bounds on the far sideline at the 38. Let's head back to New York. Here's Matt Weiner with a Sports Center Right Now update.
All right, Sean, Sports Center Right Now presented by Sprint. Number 3 Alabama has taken the lead on LSU. Greg McElroy hit Darius Hanks. The Tide lead 10-7 down there in Tuscaloosa. Meanwhile, number 8 Oregon trailing all day at Stanford. The Cardinals racked up 4 long touchdown drives. The Ducks keep getting back into it with long plays, and they trail by 10.
All right, Matt, thank you. Here it's Ohio State by 3 with the ball midway through the 3rd quarter. Terrell Pryor handed it off. And Boone Heron lost a yard. Eric Lattimore the tackle. Here's Holly.
Well, guys, they've been over here examining the left knee of J.B. Shugarts, but I can tell you he really wants to get back out there. After they finished the examination, he got up and put his own knee brace back on. He didn't wait for the trainers. He just wanted to get back out there. Right now, they're asking him to walk around and wait and see how he feels, but he's biting at the bit to get back out on the field for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
And you can see it's bothering him. He's limping there on the sideline, and he's ticked off. He's a competitive guy and wants to be in the middle of this thing.
Terrell Pryor has attempted 10 passes, completed 3 of them. Drops back to throw. Short for the fullback, the true freshman Zach Boren out of Pickerington, Ohio, tackled by A.J. Wallace. Short gain. Boren's the brother of Justin Boren, the starting left guard,
who is really blocking well out of the game and on isolation blocks. And you look at that last play and you see the time that he has to be able to throw. And you go back to what Desmond Howard said in the pregame show of the discipline of the back 7 of Penn State, particularly their linebackers.
Ohio State has just 6 first downs all day, but they lead 10-7. 3rd down and 7. Pryor zips one, caught. First down. DeVere Posey out of bounds in the arms of Drew Astorino, but they're into Nittany Lion territory at the 44, 15-yard gain.
First thing you'll see is a nice pocket. See how the lane opens. He's able to take advantage of that, and he just takes it. That's a nice ball. Now watch Posey. He's got some speed, gets down in between, right in between the safety and the corner in that cover 2.
First catch of the day for Posey, the sophomore from Cincinnati. Team high 44th of the year. Dan Herron can't go anywhere once again. Navarro Bowman made the tackle.
Navarro Bowman he's a good player. He's going to be playing a lot of football on a lot of Sundays. You're going to watch him lined up right outside. Now, certainly it's just coming right down the line, and Herron has to redirect because of Odrick getting up the field, but it's excellent pursuit down the line of scrimmage. Remember, at the start of the game, Bowman had a chance to make that tackle on Terrell Pryor, and Pryor just shrugged him off.
8 tackles today for the junior. He had 10 last year in Columbus in Penn State's win at Ohio State. Ticking down to 5 minutes left, third quarter. On 2nd and 12, Dan Herron found a hole. And he got to the Penn State 36, 2 yards short of the first down, tackled by Josh Hull, the former walk-on, outstanding student, 3.5 GPA in engineering, out of Millheim, Pennsylvania. They drive into Millheim on the local highway. You see the billboard, home of Josh Hull. We're very proud. That's his hometown.
And they should, yeah, they should be, as Boom Herron goes limping off the field. And that's what he had hurt on the front end coming into this thing. But there's Josh Hull, very disciplined player.
3rd down and 2. Probably not in field goal range here. Pryor delivered the stiff arm to Hayes. Gets the throw off short. Ron Carter slipped as he tried to come back to the ball. Covered by Danton Lynn.
And so Tom Bradley, the defensive coordinator from Penn State, dials up some pressure. Hayes comes off the corner. Hull gives him chase and forces this 4th down. I'm sorry.
4th and 2, and Jim Tressel does have the punter, John Toma, out there.
That's a good calculated risk tonight by right there by Tom Bradley, their defensive coordinator.
Punters have been busy and they've done well.
It's a good punt right here.
And Drew Astorino made the fair catch. They'll mark it near the 9-yard line. 4:03 to go, third quarter.
You're watching college football presented by Kay Jewelers.
Sean McDonough, Matt Millen, Holly Rowe back at Beaver Stadium. 300th game in this facility, dating back to 1960, and among the crowd of about 110,000, Darrell and Cheryl Clark, the parents of the Penn State quarterback, trying to get his offense moving. Stephon Green gets the carry, bothered by an ankle injury in recent weeks. Cameron Hayward and Ross Coleman took him down. 4-yard gain for Green, a sophomore from the Bronx.
And they need his speed. And the guy who needs it really is Darrell Clark. And there's been talk of how well Darrell Clark has been playing as of late as you look at Stephon Green. But if he's going to be the guy that they're talking about him being, now is the time for him to take over the game.
Pump fake, and then the inside handoff to Stephon Green, and Brian Roll made the tackle at the 15-yard line. Just joining us, those of you who've been watching Oklahoma State and Iowa State, there has not been any scoring here in the second half. Each team with 1 touchdown. Both defenses have been outstanding. Matter of fact, the Ohio State touchdown drive was only 9 yards after a long punt return by Ray Small set them up at the 9-yard line.
Tight coverage again.
Clark on 3rd and 4. Tries to make them miss. Could not. Then he tried to power to the first down yardage and could not. Thaddeus Gibson foremost in the way. Nathan Williams there to help out as well. And another 3 and out on offense for Penn State, their 6th of the day.
Well done by the Ohio State defense of converging and getting to the ball. Thaddeus Gibson just turned and sprints to the football. And it's one of those things that are preached all the time, but there's absolutely, it takes no talent to hustle. Just get to the football, and they did that well.
Jeremy Boone, another good punt, driving Ray Small back to the 30. Senior from Cleveland couldn't find a lane, and then he got swarmed under at the 40-yard line. Navarro Bowman down there with help from Bonnie Baju. Tonight at 8 Eastern on ABC, most of you will see the 5th ranked and undefeated Cincinnati Bearcats hosting Connecticut. The rest of you will see the number 24 Oklahoma and Nebraska, number 12 USC against Arizona State. Check your local listings for the game in your area. That's tonight, Saturday Night Football. Prime time, presented by Southwest Airlines, 8 Eastern on ABC. These two teams in rope-a-dope offensively here, but now it's Pryor trying to deliver the big blow, and he does. DeVere Posey, touchdown, Ohio State.
Had great time to throw, and then Posey is able to use his speed to get on top of the defender, and the ball is where it has to be. Watch Posey up top, just gets on top, and now there's two people at the safety, 18, Suke. He has to make a decision. That's the worst position for cover 2 safety to be in. And Posey just runs right past everybody, and it's 6 quick.
62-yard play, matching the longest reception of the season for Posey, his 7th touchdown of the year. The first 6 averaged 34 yards per touchdown catch. He'll improve on that average with a 62-yarder. He has become a big play wide receiver as a sophomore for Ohio State. Devin Barkley, extra point, makes it a 10-point game. Largest lead of the day. And time now for our city inside view.
We were talking about a half-field safety right here. The one way that you really beat him is to get 2-on-1, and you force that safety to make a decision. He's relying on his underneath guys to redirect. They don't touch the receivers at all. He's in a bad position, and Pryor has the time. Actually, the ball hung up a little bit, but Suke broke on the ball, and Posey ran right by him. At 6 quick for the Ohio State Buckeyes, and he did it because those safeties, those receivers were able to get to the safety. You think Boom Herron's excited about that? You don't care if it hurts, he's happy.
26th career touchdown pass for Terrell Pryor, the sophomore. He's run for one, thrown for one. His team has a 10-point lead. Back in his native Pennsylvania. Chaz Powell brings back the kickoff from Devin Barkley. Gets shoved out of bounds by Orion Johnson. Here's Matt Weiner.
All right, John, time for our AT&T All-American Player of the Week update. Colt McCoy's favorite target was all over the field against Central Michigan. Jordan Shipley collected 11 passes for a school record 273 yards and a score. Cast your vote. Text the word vote to 345-345 from your mobile phone.
Well, play by Ohio State. They've had a couple of big plays. The 41-yard punt return by Ray Small set up the first touchdown, then the 62-yard touchdown pass a moment ago. Now it's Penn State in need of big chunks. They settle for 7 on the throw to Mickey Schuler. It's tough to do that against this Ohio State defense. Entering today, the Buckeyes have given up only 15 plays of 20 yards or more all year. That was the fewest in the country. While on defense, they've given up only 4 rushes all year of 20 or more yards and 11 passes. Penn State's had 2 plays today of 20 plus, both by Zug. That's still only 17 plays given up with 20 yards or more on defense all year by Ohio State. They make you earn it. Little by little, Royster is stopped about a yard short of the first down.
Well, if you listen to the Ohio State defensive coordinator, Jim Haycock, he'd tell you we'll be fine as long as we don't give up big plays. And tonight, they've played fantastic defensively. We've talked about and documented what they're doing up front, but what we haven't been talking about is their secondary play, and really their back 7 play. Every time that Penn State's tried to push the ball down the field, he's been forced to have to throw underneath. That's great coverage down the field. And again, look at the tight coverage all the way around.
3rd and 1. Clark, the pitch back to Royster, and he's stopped for a loss. Thaddeus Gibson and Ross Holman. And now the Boo Birds are out in earnest for the Penn State offense. A loss of 2. 7 3-and-outs.
They can feel it. Sean is shifting. You can feel it on the field. You can feel it in the stadium. Thaddeus Gibson, they tried to outrun him. He just took a great flat angle and beat it.
There's Jeremy Boone again. 7 3-and-outs for the Ohio State defense today. They had 12 in their shutout of New Mexico State last week. 19 3-and-outs in the last 2 games. And here comes Small again. And it's the punter who saved the touchdown. Jeremy Boone with a terrific tackle. That's hard to do right in the middle of the field.
You are dead on.
With a guy like Small who was on the move.
That is tough to do. You got the whole field. You're coming right down the middle of them. It's you versus him in front of 110,000 people. You got to buck up, and he does.
56-yard punt, 45-yard return, and then the big tackle by Jeremy Boone. Look at today's photo album, the 300th game in Beaver Stadium history, in front of the 4th largest crowd ever here. 110,033 on hand. This is now the largest stadium in the country with the renovations that are ongoing at Michigan Stadium. First and 10, Ohio State. Excellent field position after the second big punt return of the day by Ray Small. Short gain by Brandon Sane. Eventually they're going to mark it for a 1-yard loss. Aerial coverage of today's game is provided by Goodyear. New Goodyear Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas.
Well, is there a better venue out there than Beaver Stadium? It's a tight one. This is as good as it gets. And this crowd needs to become that 110,000 for Penn State right now if they're going to have a chance to get back in it.
It's a crowd that was roaring before the game, particularly after they announced over the public address system the score of the Iowa game. For those of you just joining us, Iowa lost today at home to Northwestern, creating a 3-way tie. These two teams in Iowa all atop the Big Ten. Terrell Pryor throws, and it's on the money, but ruled out of bounds. DeVere Posey caught it, goes across the boundary.
Pryor gets outside, and he's got to get his foot in bounds, and clearly does not. A good call by the official.
Well officiated game. And with minimal need for the replay booth today. 3rd down and 11.
A situation like this, if you're the play caller, Jim Tressel, you want to give Terrell Pryor an option and let him be able to use his feet if he can.
They're 3 for 11 on 3rd down today. And the play stopped.
Timeout. Ohio State. They're first.
14:07 remaining. Buckeyes leading Penn State by 10.
You're watching college football presented by Kay Jewelers.
Back at Beaver Stadium, 300th game ever in this facility. Penn State's won just under 81% of their games here. The crowd trying to help the Nittany Lions rally back in this one on defense, defending a 3rd down and 11. 10-point lead Ohio State. First minute of the 4th quarter. And it is a first down on the run by Terrell Pryor. The biggest nightmare that Tom Bradley had coming in. Pryor's running ability, and he goes to the 36.
You can see he's saying that's on me, and the reason he's saying that is he came with a blitz and he manned up outside, and once you're manned up, your eyes go to the person that you're defending and not back to the quarterback. Hayes tried to run him down from the inside out, but couldn't quite get there. He has to take a better angle than that, because that's what we're talking about, outrunning angles. It's a big play by Terrell Pryor.
Yeah, they needed 11. They got 12. Ray Small on the end around. He's had the two big punt returns. And there's another nifty gainer. For the most part, it's been the conservative approach for which Jim Boeckman and Jim Tressel have been criticized from time to time. But every now and then today, they have mixed in a well-timed wrinkle, and that one was good for 13.
Yeah, and the wrinkles have come in the form of outside. And a nice job right there by Jake Ballard of getting himself a block, and also Jim Cordell coming back. It allows him to be able to get to the outside.
No turnovers today for Coach Tressel's team. They have not allowed a sack of Pryor. Pryor's only been asked to throw it 15 times. Brandon Sane ahead for a yard. Holly?
Well, guys, Terrell Pryor was banged up coming into this game, and he had an ankle, a knee, and he's got 2 turf toes that he's fighting. So you see this bike right here on the sideline. Every moment that Terrell Pryor is not on the field, he's been sitting right here. He's trying to keep that knee and ankle particularly loose, trying to keep the circulation going. So this has been his seat the whole game, and I think you've seen with those big runs he's pulled off, he's done a nice job staying loose. They kept him out of the second half of last week's game to cover, but they've had a better strategy this week.
He has done exactly what they've needed him to do. And now they're going to that wildcat again and putting him out here in the trips.
Brandon Sane taking the direct snap. And he's forward to the 17-yard line, pulled down from behind by Josh Hull. And we had that great shot of Tom Bradley pointing to himself after Pryor ran for the first down. We mentioned earlier Tom Bradley spent a lot of hours and a lot of miles on the highways of Pennsylvania trying to recruit Terrell Pryor. They've kept in touch, exchanging texts. And here's the kind of class Tom Bradley is in his Penn State program. Tom Bradley earlier this week arranged for Terrell Pryor's family to get a handicap parking pass, and for his dad to get special seating. Terrell's dad, Craig, occasionally requires a wheelchair for a health issue, and Tom Bradley wanted to make sure his family was all set up when they came here to Happy Valley today. Pryor on 3rd and 3 dumps it off for Zach Bourne, and another 3rd down conversion, and they're doing it against the team that was best in the country on 3rd down defense.
Hey, I want you to watch Zach Bourne here. This is really good. Sean Lee's going to pick him up out of the backfield, and they have a nice little collision. You're going to watch number 44 right here. Look at this. He's going to take it on. They get the nice collision. He knocks him over and then keeps on going. He has been doing that all night long. Started early, and he's continued all the way through. And that's a tough kid he got.
Now it's Sane. Really imperative for Penn State that they hold Ohio State to a field goal try here. That would keep it a 2-score game. A touchdown and the extra point would make it 17 points and a 3-score game. And the way it's going, that would be, you would think, insurmountable for Penn State.
Well, a 2-score game right now with the way this Ohio State defense has been playing is almost insurmountable. You're exactly right, though, Sean. They've got to do something right here. Does Penn State? On the other hand, Ohio State is in the driver's seat.
10.5 minutes away from setting up a head-to-head showdown next week in Columbus with Iowa for sole possession of first place in the Big Ten. Sane to the 6-yard line. Stephon Morris and Drew Astorino combined on the stop.
I like what they're doing here in the running game. Holly, what you got?
Well, guys, Boom Herron, as you saw him limp off to the sideline, he collapsed down onto the defensive bench in great pain, but Thaddeus Gibson got in his ear and said, "This is a big game, get up." So he did. He actually had to be convinced by the athletic trainer, Doug Callan, to sit down and let them examine him. They're retaping that left ankle. I don't know if he's done for the game because I don't think his defense will let him.
And that's what big games are all about right there.
Here's a big play, 3rd down and 5 from the 6. Pryor dumps it off. Sane, touchdown, Ohio State.
Very well executed by Terrell Pryor. Gets on the edge and then puts the defender in a bind. Commit which way you're going to go. If he drops off, you run it. If you come forward, then you throw it. And there's the throw, and there's the score. I saw a flag throw in the end zone.
play, unsportsmanlike conduct, offense number 50. That penalty would be administered 15 yards on the kickoff.
It's on Mike Brewster, the center, but the 6-yard touchdown pass stands. And again, set up by a 45-yard punt return by Small. Devin Barclay in for the extra point. I mentioned it earlier. Ohio State was averaging 6 yards per punt return for the year entering today. 9th in the Big Ten and 93rd in the country. 2 big punt returns by Small today have set up 2 touchdowns for the Buckeyes, who lead 24-7.
ESPN's college football on ABC, presented by K Jewelers, the #1 jewelry store in America. Nissan Maxima, proud partner of the Heisman Trophy. And Verizon Wireless, America's largest 3G network.
The students have complied. That student section of about 21,000 adorned in white. They're quiet right now. Terrell Pryor has led Ohio State to a 24-7 lead. The last touchdown drive went only 47 yards after the punt return. It took 10 plays and it took 5:23 off the clock. They converted 3 third downs on that drive.
And Terrell Pryor was big in that drive. Very big.
Devin Barclay kicks off from the 15. The unsportsmanlike conduct penalty assessed on the kickoff. And Penn State should get good field position. Chaz Powell brought it back to the 40. And it's time to look at our Pacific Life game summary. We talked at the top of the telecast, Matt, about these 2 quarterbacks. A lot of similarities. They're one of them both seemingly in need of a signature win. Well, Pryor doesn't have the huge numbers today, but if you watch this game, he's made a lot of the plays that they needed to have him make to win the game.
He has made timely plays, and they have been big when they've needed them. And more important than that, and Holly Rose said it at the start, he came out and started the game, and he was calm, and he was in control, and that has been the key.
Incomplete pass, and there was a lot of hype at the beginning of the week about Terrell Pryor's return to Pennsylvania. Decided not to come to Penn State, went to Ohio State, and said also turned down Michigan. Earlier in the week, there was talk on the campus here that they were going to print up T-shirts to Terrell Pryor with an image of him from the end of the game last year when he had his head in his hands in the final seconds of Ohio State's loss to Penn State in Columbus. And the Penn State Marketing Association here put a stop to it. Joe Paterno, the athletic department, also spoke out and said, hey, that's not what we're all about. Let's go out there and cheer as hard as we can, but do it with class. Clark is picked off by Ross Holman.
That was a awful decision right there by Darrell Clark. He got out of the pocket, he found some time, and he rushed himself. And he just forced the ball inside and didn't have to. You see, here he comes. He's going to try to find Schuler. Who is that, Schuler 82? I couldn't tell. In any event, it didn't go over real big.
And it's the 3rd interception of the year for the junior Ross Holman, the 4th of his career. And there'll be no images of Terrell Pryor after this game tonight. And give Penn State credit. Joe Paterno and the folks here in State College squashed that T-shirt early in the week. And they have handled Pryor's return with class. I mean, he's a 20-year-old young man. He went to the place that he thought was best for him.
And he continues to get better. Matt, what do you got?
Oh, we got a lot going on right now. In Tuscaloosa, LSU recorded a safety, got the ball back, then scored. Stephen Ridley finished off a 59-yard drive. They missed the 2-pointer, so it's 15-10 there. Navy upsets Notre Dame 23-21 in South Bend. The Irish turned it over 3 times today.
And Notre Dame had won more than its fair share of the close ones. How about Navy? 2 out of 3 years beating Notre Dame after they went, it was 43 years in a row without defeating the Fighting Irish.
Well, that's a huge win for the Naval Academy.
Brandon Sane carries again. Sean Lee made the tackle. And now Ohio State methodically killing the clock. Well, there is one t-shirt. Might have been homemade. No failure on the part of Terrell Pryor here today.
No, he's done everything you wanted him to do and more. He's bought time with his legs. He's thrown the ball down the field. He's created big plays with his feet and his arm.
A lot of comparisons to Vince Young. Matter of fact, his high school coach, Jeanette PA, Ray Ritz, has said he thinks that Terrell Pryor is a Vince Young who can throw. They're similar size. They have similar running skills.
They're second.
When we come back, we'll give you a look at a statistical comparison between those two quarterbacks. But first, a timeout.
You're watching college football presented by Kay Jewelers.
This Thursday at 8, 7 Central. Don't miss an all-new episode of ABC's Flash Forward. The race to uncover the greatest mystery mankind has ever faced is on. It's ABC's Flash Forward Thursday night, 8, 7 Central on ABC.
Those two with the masks on. They figured with all the pigskins in the air that the swine flu was airborne. Oh, that was bad. Sorry.
Yeah. Wish we could have flashed forward past that. 3rd down and 3. Flag down. Pryor down for a loss. Back to the 41-yard line. Sean Lee, the senior from Pittsburgh, made the tackle. I think they would turn this down, bring up 4th down. They need to get the ball back soon.
Offense number 86. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
Jake Ballard, the tight end. And we mentioned some people have deemed Terrell Pryor a disappointment so far in this point in his career, probably because he was so incredibly hyped coming out of high school. But there are the numbers for Vince Young, to whom Pryor is often compared. After 12 games, his entire sophomore season, Young passed for 154 yards per game. Pryor has surpassed that. Pryor's thrown more touchdowns already, and he still has 2 regular season games and a bowl game to play. Drew Astorino, the fair catch. I think the reality of it is, he's a young man who came in, played almost immediately, very early in his freshman year. No redshirt season. And in his 2nd year as the quarterback, adjusting to, as we said, a line that has been called by many Buckeye observers one of the least impressive in recent years. Inexperienced wide receivers and running backs that are also inexperienced and have been injured.
And you look at Terrell Pryor, and you know, he's him. He is not Vince Young, and he's not going to be. And the skill set that he brings to the table is a different skill set. And he's developing, and he's getting better, and he's on the front end of that curve. And if tonight is any indicator, the game did not get too big for him. He stayed in complete control. When he had an opportunity to make a big play, like you saw the big touchdown pass to Posey down the sideline, it was 6 quick. So I think he's just scratching the surface. He's going to do nothing but get better.
Stephon Green on the screen got them 11 yards and a 1st down. The time is running out on Penn State. Zug, a great effort. We're going to rule that a catch, but it was actually a loss of about a foot. Darrell Clark hasn't played his best today. 11 out of 23 for only 119 yards and the interception. And he'll start to hear some of the things that he has heard. He plays well against the lesser opponents, but in the big games, as in Iowa and now again today, does not play his best.
Yeah, and I think what's going to happen is they're going to look at this tape and they're going to say, you know what, our offensive line was dominated by Ohio State's defensive line. And in particular, they could not handle Cameron Hayward. And he started off that way, and he's finishing that way. It got to the point where they had to roll people out because they didn't trust the pocket breaking down. And I also think you have to credit the secondary of the Ohio State Buckeyes, because they provided tight coverage, and really there was not a lot of place to throw for Darrell Clark.
Darrell Clark's throw was too high for Andrew Quarles. Just 8 first downs today for Penn State.
The other guy who's played himself a heck of a game has been Brian Roll, that middle linebacker. Actually, all 3 of those guys, Spittler, Roll, and Holman, played very, very well.
done it against the Penn State offense that was #1 in the conference in total offense. 430 yards per game coming in. Penn State has just 186 today. And again, a lot of those big yardage totals put up against inferior foes.
Penn State, they're first.
And a timeout called by Penn State. It's no longer Happy Valley here in State College.
Unhappy Valley.
Wednesday night on ABC, country music's biggest night. It's the Country Music Awards, hosted by Carrie Underwood and Brad Paisley, with performances from Keith Urban, Sugarland, Taylor Swift, George Strait, and many more. Don't miss the 43rd Annual CMA Awards, Wednesday, 8/7 Central, live on ABC. Does Ray Small have another big punt return in him? There are flags down. He brought it back about 2 yards. Speaking of the CMA Country Music Awards, did you see who was on the field before the game? I know you're a huge fan. Ryan Seacrest.
What position does he play?
Is here today. He's a host of American Idol.
Ah, okay.
And many other things, from what I'm told. Apparently his dad is a Penn State graduate, and he was here with his dad today. He was down on the field before the game, shaking hands with Joe Paterno.
Returning team number 21, 10 yards, first down.
Stephon Green called for the illegal block in the back. Well, Veterans Day all week long. We'll be telling you about a lot of interactions between football and the military. And back in late May and early June, Jim Tressel took part in a coach's tour. They hit several countries in rapid fire: Turkey, Germany, Iraq among them. Mac Brown, Houston Nutt, Rick Neuheisel, Jim Grove, Troy Calhoun, Tommy Tuberville, all on the trip. Jim Tressel said he was humbled by how unselfish the men and women of our armed forces are, what they do day after day. Brandon Sane, the ball carrier. Josh Hull made the tackle with help from A.J. Wallace.
Well, I'm a big Jim Tressel fan. I think Jim Tressel has done a great job here at Ohio State. People have gotten on him a little bit for his play calling, maybe a little bit of conservatism, but he's done a masterful job with this team. He knows what he has. He knows what he has to protect and what he has to develop, and he's doing an excellent job.
And Insane squirts free. Looked like they had him for a short game, but he slipped out to the 30. 10-yard run and a first down. Here's Holly.
Well, guys, earlier you were talking about that Pryor-Vince Young comparison, and during that trip to Iraq and Afghanistan, Jim Tressel took the opportunity to speak with Mac Brown about how he handled Vince Young and all of his talent coming up. He said, you know, Mac gave me the advice when Vince came in, he wanted to be Peyton Manning, but what I had to get him to the point to understand, we have to win first, and we have to do whatever it takes to win, and then you can keep working on being Peyton Manning, and that's what Jim Tressel took to heart to try to do with Terrell Pryor.
Hands off to Brandon Sane. His high school coach, we referenced earlier, said he thought that Pryor needed to run more, that he looked robotic in this offense that has been called conservative by many. But I thought it was interesting, we talked to Jim Tressel a few weeks ago before the game against Wisconsin. He says we adapt to the talent that we have. When we have Troy Smith, we play a certain way. When we have Beanie Wells and those great receivers, we play a certain way. And they're trying to put in an offense here that is best for Pryor and the surrounding cast.
Yeah, I think that's the key, and I think that's good coaching. That's what I mentioned about Tressel before. And then also keep in mind, this is an Ohio State offensive line that's kind of been patchworked. You know, guys been beat up, and they're kind of finding themselves as well. And I got to take my hats off to them tonight, Sean, because we said at the start of the game that a lot would be put against this top-ranked Penn State defense on the Ohio State offensive line. And they have played very, very well. They've run the ball for over 200 yards. They've provided time to be able to make big plays down the field with Terrell Pryor's arm. And I think overall you got to give these guys a game ball because they played extremely well.
That's really 3 good offensive performances in a row. 38 points against Minnesota last week against New Mexico State. Some of that colored by the competition, but playing a good defensive team today. in Penn State. That Ohio State line has held up very well. Aerial coverage of today's game provided by Goodyear. New Goodyear Fuel Max tires help you get there on less gas. 209 rushing yards today for Ohio State. That's better than their season average. They came in averaging 186.
Well, Jim Cordell, Justin Boren, Mike Brewster, Ryan Browning, shoe guards, and then Marcus Hall, who came in, all played well.
And people can call it conservative or whatever they want, but this is a team that could well be on their way to their 5th straight Big Ten title. They've won at least 10 games in each of the last 4 years. And today would be their 8th of this season. Played a BCS game the last 4 years. Tied with Oklahoma for 4th in the country in wins since 2002. That's conservative. There are a lot of schools around the country that like to have a conservative approach. Here's Matt Weiner.
All right, Sean, check this out from Tuscaloosa. Number 3 Alabama down 5. They have 3rd and goal at the 5. Greg McElroy tried to call timeout. Didn't matter. They were penalized for 12 men in the huddle, settled for a field goal, and they still trail by 2 to LSU. And TCU, as you see, is blowing away at San Diego State.
Yeah, LSU-Alabama rivalry has been amazing. The home team has won only 6 of the last 28 meetings.
Unbelievable. And you know, and these games are all the same. They all come down to the end, those games.
LSU very quietly there at number 9 in the BCS standings this week. The only loss at Florida. Florida's already captured the SEC East. Alabama trying to wrap up the West with a win over LSU. Of course, Iowa suffered its first loss. Cincinnati in action tonight on ABC against Connecticut. And undoubtedly the Bearcats very happy about the developments with Iowa losing and the potential for an Alabama loss. Darrell Clark ran. Ross Holman made contact, and they threw a flag at the end of the run.
That's tough for a defender right there.
Personal foul.
It's number 51 for Ohio State.
Personal foul. High hit, number 15 defense. 15 yards. Automatic first down.
Well, Holman broke. I mean, Clark takes off and runs, and you're going as hard as you can, and he just decides to hit it at the end. That's tough for the defender. But they called it. He did it.
Clark's pass is batted down by Holman. He was looking for Graham Zug. 3:13 to go. Ohio State leading Penn State 24-7.
Sean, you know who's had a very quiet night, and credit the secondary of the Ohio State Buckeyes, that's Derek Moy. And Moy had really stepped up his game. And he'd made play after play in the last 5-6 weeks. And tonight, I don't think we even called his name. I don't know if he even has a catch. No, he doesn't have any catches.
No. He had at least 2 catches in every game this year. 0 today. Here's Zug again to the Ohio State 47-yard line. And Clark will try to get them lined up quickly, but there isn't enough time left. Under 3 minutes to go. And what a big game on tap next Saturday in Columbus on ABC. Another 3:30 kickoff for Iowa and Ohio State. And the winner of that game will have sole possession of first place in the Big Ten. And after that, only 1 game remaining in conference play and in the regular season. Of course, the Big Ten wraps it up early. Here's what's left for Ohio State. They had a very tough closing schedule here today, home for Iowa, and then that rivalry game against the Michigan team that is really reeling now. Another loss today against Purdue.
I personally, and nobody's asking my opinion, I would like to see a playoff here in the Big Ten. I'd like to see them add another team.
Joe Paterno would like to see that as well. Deep throw by Clark in the direction of Corliss with Anderson Russell in coverage. Of course, the Big Ten is actually the Big 11. They have 11 teams. They need 12 to get into 2 divisions and have a conference playoff game at the end of the year, as they have in other conferences. And Joe Paterno said, I would like to see us add a 12th team, and he would like to see it be in the East. He thinks it would help the conference if they broadened toward the East Coast, took advantage of some of the TV markets. He mentioned Rutgers, Connecticut, Syracuse, as teams that would make sense for the Big Ten if they decided to expand. Ohio State takes over on downs. And it's Jordan Hall ahead. Sean Lee the tackle. Here's Holly.
Well, guys, for Ohio State fans that are still listening, I have an update on Ricky Stanzi, the quarterback for Iowa. After that game, Kirk Ferentz, his coach, said that his ankle sprain x-rays were negative, but that it was a severe sprain, and he is likely out 1 to 2 weeks. That's, of course, important because Iowa plays at Ohio State next weekend. So Ricky Stanzi update for you guys.
Well, if it's 2 weeks, that's the last 2 games of the season for him. That would mean he'd be out to the end of the year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that's not good news for the Hawkeyes.
So for their first loss of the season today, here's Jordan Hall. Like Terrell Pryor, a product of Jeanette, Pennsylvania. And he's here to rub a little more salt in the wound of these Pennsylvanians at Beaver Stadium today. So here are the up-to-date standings. Iowa and Ohio State will both be 5-1 in conference with the head-to-head meeting. Of course, the winner of the Big Ten regular season gets the automatic BCS berth. And the first tiebreaker at the end of the year is head-to-head competition, and that's why Penn State is toast, because it's possible they could all wind up with 2 conference losses, but Penn State has lost to both Iowa and now Ohio State. Hall, Joe Boserman in at quarterback on this possession. Tomorrow here on ABC, the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup continues with a Dickies 500 at Texas. Only 3 races remaining. Jimmy Johnson the big lead. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Dickies 500 tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern on ABC. Coverage starts with NASCAR Countdown. As always, we encourage you to log on to ESPN.com. That 184-point lead for Jimmy Johnson, by far the largest with 3 races left by any driver since the chase format began back in 2004. Boserman, the former minor league baseball player, takes a knee, and the Buckeyes celebrate. And a happy homecoming for Terrell Pryor. They avenged their loss at home to Penn State last year, meaning that only Wisconsin has defeated Jim Tressel in back-to-back years in the Big Ten. In the 300th game in stadium history at Beaver Stadium, a rare home loss for Penn State, just their 4th in their last 36 home games.
Well, Sean, you and I will be at the Horseshoe next week for that big Big Ten showdown. I mean, it's going to come down to Ohio State and Iowa. I'm looking forward to it.
Here's Holly Rowe.
Well, Terrell, there'd been such a build-up coming into this game, your trip home. How were you able to contain your emotions when you stepped out on the field to start this game?
You know, I just heard all the Penn State fans getting on me and ragging on me, you know, but it's all fun and games, you know. At the end of the day, it's just coming in and being poised, like I was saying earlier in the week, and just try to carry the team and lead them.
How were you able to do that on the field? You didn't let the noise or anything distract you. You were very focused with your guys.
Like I said before, we like playing away because we like everyone against us, and we have all 70 people with us, you know, and we're all family, and that's all we need. And that little sea of red right there, you know, and that's all that matters. And if we come ready to play and just stay poised and no turnovers, this is what happens. What
did your offense do tonight that you feel like was a step forward for you?
My hat's off to Penn State's defense because we didn't really even score, really, you know, until at the end. So we came up big, and go Bucks.
We want to race off to join his.
All right, guys, we want to take you out to bonus coverage to the ACC, where Wake Forest and Georgia Tech are tied at 24 apiece. Wake Forest with the ball, trying to drive for a field goal with about a minute left.